Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Pomeranz, and today I'm excited to share with you all my entrepreneurial journey. So back in 2018, I had the opportunity to stand before a panel of GSEA judges, much like yourselves, and share my passion for social entrepreneurship, and more specifically, why I wanted to found my venture, Sulis. But a lot has happened since then, and I'm here today to demonstrate why I believe I am still the quintessential EO student entrepreneur. A personal mentor of mine once defined entrepreneurship as creating the future. Now, as an entrepreneur, like many of yourselves, I've heard thousands of definitions of entrepreneurship over the years, but this one always resonated with me. To me, though, entrepreneurship is about a lot more than just creating the future. I've always felt a pull to create a better future. But in order to create a better future, you need to have a broad and comprehensive understanding of the world today. So when I began college, I set out the goal of visiting 30 countries before turning 30. And I'm proud to say that I was able to meet and surpass that goal 9 years before anticipation. One of the most amazing things about travel is that it makes issues that you've read about every day on the news and in your textbooks real to you in a way that it couldn't possibly be just by reading about them. And one issue that's always been close to my heart is actually also the UN SDG Goal 6, and that's lack of access to clean water. Despite vast improvements in water-related technologies, there are still more people who die every year from lack of access to clean water than all forms of violence combined, including war. The dim reality is that most of these technologies and the improvements aren't reaching the people that need them the most. And when we spoke to people in India about the current solutions they have available to them, we heard that they just weren't meeting their needs. Reverse osmosis wastes 80% of the water that it produces. Chlorine packets are a short-term solution that only address drinking water, and boiling water is often ineffective, leaving families vulnerable to disease. That's why we developed Sulis. Our product enables families to clean their own water through harnessing sunlight. What makes Sulis so unique is that it's able to clean water without relying on electricity, infrastructure, producing any wastewater, and it doesn't require any frequent maintenance. Most importantly to our customers, it pays for itself in just 4 short weeks. So here's how it works. At the beginning of the day, a family will fill up their Sulis device with their contaminated water and leave for work or school. Over the course of the day, our proprietary metal catalyst harnesses sunlight in order to clean the water. So by the time the family returns, they have 10 or more liters of clean water to use for that day and the next one. So that's essentially where I left off with GSEA 2 years ago, right? I had this drive to create a better future, I'd identified an important issue, and I had an early stage product. But so much has happened since then. What GSEA taught me was the importance of going out and actualizing, and boy did my team do that. So here are just some highlights of what we've been able to accomplish in the past couple of years. To mention a few, we were able to talk to hundreds of families in India about their lack of access to clean water. We crowdfunded $40,000. I've had the opportunity to give keynote addresses on 4 different continents and compete in some of the most competitive social entrepreneurial ventures in the world. All this to say, the experience has been totally life-changing and simultaneously affirming that entrepreneurship is the career path for me. That being said, though, there have of course been some rough patches, long nights, and difficult periods. And through it all, I've been able to rely on my team. So today, I just want to discuss some of the key takeaways and lessons that I've learned throughout my entrepreneurial journey, starting with the power of proximity. After my team and I won the Boston Regional Hult Prize competition, we knew we were going to need to do something to distinguish ourselves at the next level of this $1 million accelerator in London. And what we needed to do was go to India and talk to people on the ground. Because you can think you know everything in the world about your customers and your clients, but until you talk to them face to face, you're really just taking shots in the dark. And I learned that as a student of both entrepreneurship and a student of social justice, right? There's many ways in which these disciplines differ, but where they see eye to eye is in the importance of talking to people directly and entrusting them. Our pilot program enabled us to ask family members, what are you currently using and why have past products failed you? And by the time we left our pilot program, we had established research teams, we had sales representatives, and we also had formed 2 long-term partnerships with world-leading Indian universities. The insights from this pilot program enabled us to fundamentally transform our product, to evolve our go-to-market strategy, actually increase our prices. And none of this would have been possible at a distance. That is the power of proximity. The next lesson I'd like to share with you all was the importance of staying true to me. As a young entrepreneur, there's always going to be a line around the block of people who are willing to tell you what your business needs to do to succeed. This has never been more true for me personally than when I was at the Hult Prize Accelerator in London, where we had mentors and experts coming in every week, often giving conflicting advice. One piece of advice that we heard pretty frequently was that we should just go to market right away, and that's a strategy that works for a lot of businesses, but we knew we were playing a longer game. You see, if your goal at the end of the day is to create a better future, then it's never really about failing fast or just getting a quick buck. We were there to fundamentally transform the lives of these people. And while staying true to us might have ultimately cost us the opportunity to pitch at the UN, what we gained was far greater. And that was the knowledge that the product that we were going to launch with was one that we could confidently put into their hands. The last lesson I'd like to share is the importance of stepping up versus stepping back. So this is Team SULIS. We are fundamentally diverse in more ways than I can count, right? In terms of our academic backgrounds, our nationalities and ethnicities, and that is our asset as a team. But it's also meant that we've had to learn how to reconcile these differences, and we wanted to tackle that challenge head on. So we brought in external advisors who could help us understand what were the individual strengths we were bringing to the table, and also taught us the important lesson of knowing when to step up versus step back. One instance where I felt the most compelled to step up was with regards to our Indian pilot program. We had 1 month and we needed to raise $20,000 to get there. And I knew I was the person who was going to need to take this on full time and push my other responsibilities to the side. Within 1 weekend, I had set up our Indiegogo page, and by the end of the month, we'd raised $40,000 from over 160 donors, doubling that initial goal. But just as important as it is to step up, there have been plenty of times I've known it's my time to step back, especially in regards to research and development, and let my co-founders take the lead. So all in all, I would say the ability to know when to delegate versus take charge has been crucial to the success of SULIS. And that all culminates in the development, all the lessons I've learned in the conversations with advisors and families on the ground with the latest design of our product, which has 3 primary advantages over our previous model. The first of which is scalability. So due to the flat nature of this device, it's able to be arranged in an array on a rooftop, maximizing the space and producing more water for our end users. Second is the consistency and flexibility of use. Because of the solar panels on the top layer of the device that are powering LED lights, it means that regardless of the weather or time of day, our end users in India are able to know that their water will be clean. And the last of which is cultural fit. From the conversations we had in India, we learned that people were more comfortable paying a smaller amount for a product that produced less water than a higher price for a product that could produce more water in bulk. And we heard that and turned that into a device that met those needs.
2 minutes remaining.
Thank you. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, right, we didn't just fundamentally evolve the design of our product, we also evolved how we were going to market. So before we had a very broad approach and we were trying to, you could say, boil the ocean, tackle every problem at once. Since then, we've really focused our efforts on the communities we feel we can have the most impact, which is rural villages in India where we'll be launching, then expanding to urban slums, and eventually these other tangential markets. In terms of profit, we hope to break even within the first 2 years, and by 2024, we'll have sold 1 million devices, reaching 5 million people in India alone. And none of this would be possible without our tremendously talented and diverse board of advisors, both from our India team and back in the States, who have been crucial in taking our product from early stage development all the way to end customer distribution. So where do we go from here? In March, we'll be receiving our final patent, and then we'll be sending our product design to our partners in India that we've already established.
1 minute remaining.
Our manufacturers in India, and launching the product in the summer of 2020. So this is to say it's been a really, really long journey with a lot of ups and downs, and through it all, I've learned the lessons of the power of proximity, staying true to me, and knowing when to step up and when to step back. And I can confidently say that I'm a part of a team that's building a business to create a better future. So thank you all.
10 minutes Q&A begins now.
Hi, congratulations. That was a great presentation.
Thank you so much.
I want to understand a little bit more about your technology. Can you explain a lot about the catalyst that you said you're using? I know that, for example, these photocatalytic materials are usually very expensive. So how do you go around that, and what is your patent exactly on?
Sure, yeah. So this slide, I think, best describes the process in which the photocatalyst works. So what's really unique, I think, about SULA specifically, right, is we developed the technology in collaboration with faculty at our university. It was the photocatalyst that we're using had existed in lab settings before, but had never been applied at scale to address this type of problem. So we have a utility patent on the photocatalyst itself. The way that it works, right, is that the photocatalytic layer, it's just a chemical reaction. It interacts with the UV in the sun and produces free radicals that kill bacteria, pathogens, and organic compounds in the water. And our cost to make our units is $7, and we're selling them for $14 because throughout this whole process, it's been really important that we're reaching the people that really need it the most, as this is such a pressing need. So we knew we couldn't just develop another amazing miracle device that somehow does it all, but is totally unaffordable for the people who really need it.
And last thing, how durable is it, your material?
Yeah, so based on all of our research and similar types of technologies, we're able to say that the lifespan of the device should be 5 years, which is saving them tremendous funds in terms of what they're currently purchasing. And as our previous models were extremely durable, and we believe this new design will be even more durable than that. Thank you.
Sarah, how do you sell it at a $7 cost, $14 product, and you're trying to sell 1 million in 4 years? What's the expense behind that, and how do you do it?
Sure. So we're selling them in bulk to NGOs and to hospitals. When we were in India for our pilot program, we were able to get 3 purchase orders already, so the interest is clearly there. And all of our financial projections are based off of the interest we were able to generate in our pilot program and working with our financial advisors. And that's really, the partnerships is what's going to enable that financial model to be feasible and keep our costs relatively low. We also specifically chose to launch in India versus other markets because there's a lot of governmental programs that are incentivizing entrepreneurs to try to tackle these issues since they're experiencing an epidemic of neglected tropical diseases. And so the combination of the partnerships with our NGOs and the universities as well as governmental incentives is going to make this all feasible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So what are you studying in school, or is it a science background? And then how are you balancing that school with getting this off the ground?
Yes, so I'm majoring in management, and I have a concentration in entrepreneurship and a minor in social justice. I am not the technical person on the team. My 3 co-founders actually are, so engineer, chemistry, and cell bioneuroscience. And I am the business side of the team. Which I think has been phenomenal in terms of me learning so much about the technology has been crucial. But we also, like I said, really do bring these different perspectives. And having a team really also enables the balance to be possible, like being respectful of, all right, you have a final next week and we have this deadline we need to meet. How can we be shifting responsibilities in a way that supports all of us? And I think we're all honors college students, which has been part of how we focused on this social innovation. That's the mission of the Honors College, is to focus on social innovation. So academics has been core to who we are throughout the journey. Sure.
On the topic of team,
Yeah.
You have a great diverse team.
Thank you.
How did you come together and find each other?
Sure, yeah. So I was brought on originally by my co-founder Anurag, who had the idea of the technology, but didn't really know what it was supposed to be addressing or what was going to be the strategy, the marketing, the branding. He had brought on Yuki, who's our CTO, and then I actually founded a student organization as a freshman called Tamid, which looks at the intersection of innovation and business in Israel specifically. And I had an e-board member, Ari, who's our final team member, who was phenomenal as an engineer. So I brought him on as well, and that's how we came together.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
2 things. One is is there a filter on this? Do you get a precipitate that you need to get out of the water at the end?
There is no filter. There's no filter on the device, and that's pretty intentional because we found when we were speaking to people in India that they already predominantly had, they're already storing water, but they also had filtering methods that they were using, whether that was tea filters like this or actually using saris themselves to get rid of the physical elements in the water. What was harming them was what they couldn't see, and so that's specifically what we're trying to tackle, and the expectation is they'll continue to use these methods to address what's visible.
Okay, and secondly, I know there's a lot of products out there that are that do this, and,
Yep.
and there have been several in GSEA over the last couple of years.
I bet.
What are you standing out for against everyone else? Why would they buy yours opposed to everyone else's?
Yeah. So I think what is almost at the heart of that question in so many ways is right, like, what is our largest obstacle? I think it's a related question because I know that the people in these communities have felt burnt by so many people coming and offering technologies and solutions, right? And then it doesn't work, it fails, they go on to the next project. For us, having people and teams in India be partners and equal partners in this venture with us throughout the whole process has been crucial to getting buy-in and earning their trust, right? And we saw when we spoke to people in these communities, when we said we're working with Gunput University, that meant something to them, right? They have trust already in these community establishments. Coming in as an outsider is always going to be, you're always going to be up against a lot of cultural barriers, I think. But in trusting our partners to really get this with us and show them that we mean business, I think will be fundamentally why we're able to succeed.
Congratulations, Sarah. Great
Thank you.
presentation and product. Can you share with us a little bit more about yourself, like your weaknesses as an entrepreneur, as a person? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I think some of the ones that we had to talk about, the lessons learned have been an evolution of the challenges that I face, right? I think as entrepreneurs in general, delegating is really difficult. Specifically with Sulis, it's a hardware product. And a lot of, I know Startup Grind, we're here right now, a lot of the businesses here are software, which is phenomenal, and it's fun, and it's fast. Hardware products take a lot of time, and being the business side of a hardware product is frustrating because my co-founders are the technical ones who are just like, we'll stay in the lab forever, right? And they're happy to do that, but I know the urgency is real and I want to get the product out to the people. So I think finding a balance and me trying to put aside my need for speed in some ways has been something that I've had to reconcile with and be patient with it because it's, again, like I said, not about making a quick buck here in this game, but I'm definitely the kind of person who wants to, go, go, go.
I would like to share you something we say in EO.
Yeah.
It's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, I think that definitely sums it up. Thank you.
So have you had a moment where you thought, this isn't going to work, I need to just walk away?
Yeah, I've had a lot of those moments for sure. And I think what ends up getting you through it is having a North Star like this North Star, like knowing you're trying to address a need this pressing and having had those relationships with the people on the ground gets you through it because you know it's not an individual journey. And also the team, right? Having each other's backs and pushing each other through those. There have been times where all of us have wanted to walk away and thought this is too big for something that are just for students to address. But I think if all of us walked away, we would never be able to solve some of the greatest challenges that we have been able to solve. So.
And have you had a moment of, oh my goodness, I think this might actually work?
Those are the scariest moments, I think. I mean, I actually, I'm giving a TED Talk at the end of the month, and one thing or the point of the TED Talk really to discuss is it's how not to ruin the world with your good intentions. And I think it's scarier to succeed and then have negative externalities than to not be able to even get your product to the market. So that's what scares me the most, is thinking that I'll get my product to these people and then some adverse reaction that I could never have anticipated will transpire. So I try to find strategies to mitigate that risk.
If you could hire one more employee, what role would they take and why?
I think CFO with more experience. I think that's a role specifically where I'd love to have someone who's on the team who can really help us with solidifying our projections better and managing that. None of us have the finance background, and we've been able to bring in advisors who've been able to help us, but I feel like sometimes we overtap those resources, so having that in-house would be phenomenal. All right. Thank you all.